Okay, I'm going to try to answer the question as fast as I can. Is there a feminine architecture? And I'm going to start out by the first woman that I questioned. She's a very famous architect in Israel. And when I was talking to her, I was talking about my work, and she was very matter of light. She was very comfortable with me talking with her. When I talked about the subject about gender, she was very uncomfortable. And I must admit that I was very uncomfortable too when I was offered to talk about the subject. And I found this piece from Simone de Beauvoir that a little bit expresses the anger of 1949 when she wrote this piece, and maybe this will express why we all felt like that by that time. Now we're in a much better state. Anyway, this is taken from her book, The Second Sex, and it says like this: "In truth, to go for a walk with one's eyes open is enough to demonstrate that humanity is divided into two classes of individuals whose clothes, faces, bodies, smiles, gaits, interests, and occupations are manifestly different. Perhaps the differences are superficial, perhaps they are destined to disappear. What is certain is that they do most obviously exist. In actuality, the relation of the two sexes is not quite like that of two electrical poles, for man represents both the positive and the neutral, as is indicated by the common use of man to designate human beings in general, whereas woman represents only the negative. He is the subject, he is the absolute, she is the other." I'm going to bring a little bit of the examples for a number of what colleagues told me when I asked them about the subject. One colleague told me that women conductors are very rare in music. Now, us architects are like conductors too. We conduct our consultants when we are planning. We conduct the building people when we are constructing. And in that, maybe a few years ago, it was very hard to give us credit and to lean on us when we were doing that kind of work. Another male architect that worked with his wife, an older man, he talked about the subject of the rational part of the man and the intuitional part of the woman. He said that because he was more rational than his wife, he used to do the part of the work that is more rational, like the urban planning. And his wife did the things that were more intuitional, like the aesthetical part of creating the facades or choosing materials for the buildings, or things that are more from inside. He also was very humoristic about it, that she also knew how to choose all his clothes for him. There's another woman architect that said that they were women architects in the past. There were a lot of women architects, very active and very, very talented in the past. And she gave an example of Frank Lloyd Wright that had many in their offices. Many of his lovely perspectives were made by women, only that we didn't hear of them because of the fact that, or they were hidden by society, or maybe them themselves didn't have the dare or the drive to push themselves forward. There is, I just discovered in a congress in Toulouse that there is an organization called IAWA, which their main work is to discover these women and put them on internet and correct the bad that was done for them in the past. Another woman architect told me about the work process. She said that many women are afraid to look too aggressive when they're presenting their projects because they don't want to lose their way of conducting themselves in general. So while a male can finish their project and fight for it and bring a final solution and have that final solution be the project, the woman has to maneuver and bring the project to its final point together with a client, or as if it were together with a client to avoid conflict against her. I'm going to show another essay that is it okay? Okay. Another essay that I found in literature, Why Do Women Mother? Maybe this will throw a little bit light on part of our problems. Most theories see women's mothering as central. They simply assume that it is socially, psychologically, and biologically natural and functional. The argument from nature is that the structure of parenting is biologically self-explanatory. This assumption holds that what seems universal is instinctive, and what is instinctive is inevitably and unchanging. Another explanation from nature is bioevolutionary. This explanation holds that women are primary parents now because they always have been. It assumes that the sexual division of labor was the earliest division of labor necessary for species to survive. The assumption is questionable, however, given the extent to which human behavior is not instinctively determined but culturally mediated. Why men by and large do not do primacy parenting and women do is a centrally interesting sociological question. We must question all assumptions which use biological claims to explain social forms, given the recent rise of uses of explanations to legitimize inequality.